And I knew that you were going to wear something creamy, so I went for a contrast brown with you.
Delicioso. Polarity. Yin and yang.
It works.
I'm yang today.
Whatever you like to be.
Doing this. Thanks for all these episodes. It was so fun. And difficult.
There's still, what, 2-3 more? But yes.
Well, yeah, they've all filmed and done.
Yeah.
They just need editing and serving towards other people.
Dishing out.
Dishing it out. Writing blogs, researching, adding links, promoting them, teasers.
That's the mahi for the next month or 2.
Coffees with Jen. THC.
I'm ensuring that I have coffees with you.
I would have coffees with you every day.
Even if today is matcha.
That's so much matcha.
The cacao, I hope, earthens it.
It does make it more earthy and gritty.
Welcome to the human seed.
Hey.
This is it. Switching seats. I mean, Look at that. So, I get to be in front of the camera. And guess who's in the interviewer's seat today? The one and only Stevie. So we thought to wrap up this season of the Human CV, who better to interview Stevie herself than, well, if we clone her, that would be the best.
Technology makes it possible.
Another coach on coach. But we thought the second best would be, because I've been present and filming and editing all of the guests and episodes, that I get to be here in Jen's seat and have her print a Human CV out, knowing all that I know about her as an ENFJ with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals that she does, and the strengths and personalities and quirks and interests. I get to be here. So thank you, Jen, for allowing me to do what has always been your specialty, Mike.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. I think today will be
it's so good.
Today will be a mix of us being a bit quirky, being ourselves, but also really diving in to something that's really important to Jen for a number of years now. Because from my memory, this notion, this idea of doing a human CV, some version of it has been in existence and developing in Jen's world for a number of years. And when we met just under a year and a half ago, I was quickly told about this beautiful vision. And it was just early in 2025 where we really got the ball rolling, developed the back end of the website, and really solidifying choosing the tools that would be chosen, which I remember one of the criteria was it needs to be free and accessible. So long as you have a device and internet access, you can access these tests and tools to get to know oneself. And here we are. We've printed, this is the 20th one.
Yes. 20th interview.
20th interview.
First CV that was ever done on the platform.
True. Mine and hers were the first.
This was written like New Year's or something.
Yeah, I remember it was like New Year's. We just celebrated with some friends, and we went to one of your favorite cafes, Bell. Shout out to Bell, in the CBD of Old Tahiti Christchurch. And we just spent an hour with good coffee and maybe a pastry and just getting it going.
We did it on the phones even, not the luxurious variation of, laptop and tabs open. We just literally hunched over and completed both of them.
Device testing. We're making sure that the user interface and the experience is solid. And look at that. I've so enjoyed, I think, a little bit more commentary before we dive in. I've so enjoyed meeting some of your friends, connections, professional connections, and I've gotten some of my own personal connections and friends to come out and dive into this with you, with me. And it's been so enjoyable to get to know all of them in not just the setting, but the context and questions that bring out these sides of or all these guests in a really deep and meaningful way. I think the stories that submerged, some of the heartfelt shares, some of the challenges, and there's been book launches talking about motherhood and starting their own businesses and moving to different countries, needing to adapt and learn new languages, all with under the umbrella of what it means to really be human and have personalities, quirks, certain preferences really come forward and be celebrated and be honored, not as something that's like, you're better or worse. It's not this binary thinking. It's just, what are the strengths that need to be nurtured and come forward? And some of us have had professional development and coaches in our lives to bring it forward, and maybe bosses in jobs that have really nurtured that. And I love being able to have these holistic, multifaceted conversations with people. It really helps me feel connected to the humans, even if we've only sat down for an hour and a half to have these conversations. So thank you for developing the system. I love to get the ball rolling by maybe reinstating, for those that are new to the Human CV and are watching your long interview, what were some of the early inspirations as a leadership coach, as someone that's worked in recruitment and other realms? What were some of the early moments and stories that it made that spark within to be like, I want to approach recruitment, employment, matching in a different way than the one that we're used to and have been doing?
It's the question is kind of leading me down two paths, because you asked what are some of the earliest moments, or what was that earliest spark. Then you also gave me that restriction as a leadership coach or as someone in recruitment, and then make this matchmaking happen. My brain, when you said the earliest, it jumped straight to even earlier. It went literally right back to 12, 13. I wasn't a leadership coach then. I wasn't a recruitment person. I had no idea of some of these fields. But I already know that there were the girls in my class, they would cut out magazine pictures from boy bands, and they would like horoscopes. And I noticed very early it was the time of Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls. So the format and NSYNC and other relatable groupings, K-pop has similar styles. They always had this format of 4 or 5 people looking very differently. Like one was the sporty one was the cheeky one was the very classy, elegant, or, a bit more shy, and the bass player, in the background. Like they all had their different hyper expressed personalities going on. Yeah. And the other thing that was quite a thing in that age was horoscopes. So we would open the magazines, the youth magazines, and go, what are you? Oh, you're Sagittarius, you're Aquarius. Oh, this is what's gonna mean when you are that. And my peers would get really into these fandom, boy band, girl band, whatever their idolized personas were, and horoscopes. And in that same environment, I was the one who would discover the Myers-Briggs test. And I geeked out. I went into hyperfocus, which is one of my traits or quirks. And I absorbed everything around those flavors of how do people show up, and what does make someone the public-facing sweetheart that gets brass thrown on the stage. What makes one the front person, what makes the other band person the supporter, or who's the influencer in that band, and who's the drummer and keeps everybody on tact. So I got really obsessed with things like personality tests back in the days.
This is when you were 12, 13? Early teenage years? Yeah. And you already had this much cognitive awareness of, this person embodies this trait. And
it was publicly visible. They even called the Spice Girls Sporty Spice or Posh Spice or Baby Spice. Right. So it was, to me, it was blatantly obvious.
Yeah. Do you remember, was it a school setting or a particular person that handed you the Myers-Briggs, or you just came across it?
I don't recall it. I do. I do remember there was this thing in that same time frame, 11, 12, 13, where computers and internet was not just there yet. Okay. I maybe got my first phone and stuff, but the initial things, like the OG of personality typing, we would send these little questionnaires. So we often had printed out A4 sheets of paper with 10 questions in it, and then you would have to answer blank. If I was a tree, I would be a or my favorite juice would be or this is the breakfast I would want on my last day on Earth. So we had these questionnaires passed around in class.
It's printed.
Yeah, and later they became emails, like chain emails. You had to answer them and pass it on to the next person. And this was always super enjoyable for me to answer those questions.
That's right. Because we're similar in age, I remember that era when internet was just starting, dial up but first personality tests. I remember doing that in school as well. It was really fun. And back in the time of MySpace, it would paste a lot of our results.
Yes.
Right? Onto, if I was a food, I would be.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it was ICQ that I used in the earliest, or Messenger, IQL Messenger, something. ICQ.
Yep. Yeah, so it's really started early on. So as this developed, this curiosity of different persons and different traits really came online really early.
Yeah.
Do you remember, as you became a young adult and you entered the workforce, did that play a role? Did it become dormant for a while before it really re-emerged big time?
It never became dormant. It took on different shapes. To give you an example, so when I was 15, 16, I fell in love with my first boyfriend, who later became my husband. And with him, or with friends that I had close in my close circle, I would have these little documents on the computer, like it was just a Word document. And I would put the name of the person on top, like my friend or my partner at the time, my first love. And I would put keywords. I would make little CVs, but not in the shape that we use now for jobs, but more in if that person was described in 1,000 words. I profiled them. I was like a profiler in a way. And I had these documents on my computer, my friend, whatever, Miriam, and then I would write what she was cool about, and then my first love, what I loved about him, and maybe his parents, I would have something and have a unique document for each person that I just kept adding to. The more I spent time with them, of course, the more I got data points of they like this, or they don't like the coffee anymore, they want now the matcha, or they are really into
drink.
I had my own profiles there on my computer for all my friends and my love, and
And you would reference
it. And then later in the job life, when you asked, it would be my boss. I started profiling my boss, so I had this hidden file where I would just write, this is the boss's first name, and then what I had observed. And so to me, people don't even have to speak. I sometimes sit in a room with people. I know exactly what they are thinking, how they show up, what their body language is like. So it was always there. But the more I learned and came in touch with things like NLP or profiling, like Myers-Briggs type indicator or Clifton Strengths, it just added to that obsession with who are the people in my life, how do they show up?
More
how
ways.
Are we different? Why does the boy band have the 4 different types in it? And then later I became introduced to tarot, and there's archetypes in it, or the 4 elements. So my brain sees patterns, and my initial obsession with people, because I always didn't feel understood as a child. I always felt I was the weird one. So my job was to understand people even deeper, and how do they want to be loved, so that I don't think they are weird, but they are in their own expression a part of the whole boy band, girl band world. So that's how it shaped throughout my working life. It was always present, that initial obsession with people and personalities and traits and flavors of people, elements of people. But the more I became an adult and older and had more experiences, later I heard, there's leadership coaching, there's recruitment, there is, facilitation techniques depending on who's in the room. And that, of course, I'm goosebumping literally all over my body right now, but it just resonated with me so strongly that I'm like, I can make a living doing what I love, observing and profiling and matchmaking people? Sign me up. And that was just layer by layer. I can't tell you one day or one person who gave me this one thing that just, opened all the portals, but it was an amalgamation and of curiosity and little chunks of something being thrown my way, whether it was a new test or a person who was a coach who told me about this job, So this kind of stuff.
One element that came to mind is, in your early days, the writing down certain words and traits of the person was for you.
Yeah.
And it aided your memory and interaction with that particular person. And over time, what I'm hearing and feeling is that you then realize not only does it help you remember and have interactions with this person, in a way it could help that other person get to know themselves. And especially with some of these tests that have very little or no barrier of entry, then everyone knowing themselves better and each other better allows for, well, better coherence, better
Yeah.
team building, better understanding of, oh, I'm not as good on this side. Well, you're better at that, so you bring that in there. So I see how that's just a natural fit over time as you've gotten into these different fields, and that's the thing. Like when I see you light up with something that really sparks your inner flame, but it also helps the other person. I think that's the beautiful overlap in let's say Venn diagram, the overlap of what you're interested in, what you're good at, what helps others, and what pays you. Then I think that's the
ikigai.
The ikigai, right? Of it's more than trifecta. It's like quad, cincta facta, and I would want that for more people. And I think that's one of the underlying reasons why you're doing what you're doing as a coach, as someone that helps others discover or rediscover themselves.
Not only that, I think that way more now people have access to these tools and they might even have reflected on themselves. But with the additional quality of criticism, negativity, hostility online, keyboard warriors, yes, you might discover who you are, and you might even put a label on it, like I am an ENFJ, or I have ADHD, or I am a Russian person. We often have now the self-discovery is better or more accessible to people, but it often comes with a heavy layer of self-judgment. And I want to not only help people to see who they are, but celebrate that.
Okay.
I want to be a better cheerleader for myself because I had to be that. I was the weird one. I was never the popular kid. I was ugly in terms of, she has glasses, she has braces, she is a Jehovah's Witness, that weird cult girl. She doesn't celebrate Christmas with us. She doesn't have money, so she can't wear the cool shoes that we all think is cool. I grew up in 2 different places, but one of them was very much about, wearing the right brands and showing a certain status. So I couldn't, score points with any of those traits. It was not popular.
So knowing.
So I wanted to discover the fellow weirdos and celebrate them, and I wanted to learn how can I love myself and not see myself as the weird one.
I think
not useful.
What's coming online within me is not only is it knowing, which is kind of like surface level, logical.
This conscious mind, I wanted also that deeper.
It's like a embracing and embodying of that trait of like, hey, like this is just quintessentially who you are, and you just your tools and coaching and conversations break down whatever existing barriers and just give maybe implicit or explicit permission for people to really embrace and like go, oh, I'm an ISTJ and I'm proud of it. And this allows me to see things that other people don't. It allows me to have perspectives that is unique. And it just, I think it's really a big embodiment, big empowerment in this. I think that's, you show the tools that are available, but in doing so and all the reflective work, it really allows people to go, this is who, it's like a declare, kowaio, in Te Reo Maori, it's like, who am I? But you like put your foot down confidently and you can just be like, own it, really own it.
Yeah.
I've seen that in the guests, like when the moment they started the interview to at the end, they almost feel like, oh, I feel more understood and heard. And I can really own these quirks and traits and interests of mine. Yes.
And within the coaching frame or container, that explicit permission is not only, there, of course, it is not only that explicit permission for kowaio, but it's also in the safe space. Let's say you have a limiting belief or something that says, I'm not worthy because I'm a cult child, or I'm a woman, or I'm too old, too young, too whatever. People have everything possible as limits in their brains.
That's right.
Within this coaching space, there's an extra layer that you don't get if you're only doing journaling or only doing the inner work by yourself. And that is when we do our inner work, we try to uncover hopefully what's good about ourselves and go away from the uncomfortable stuff that we don't want to face, the shadows or whatever we call it in different modalities. With coaching, I can literally call out the negative voice in you. I can act as if I was your negative voice. But because we are in a team, we're in a coaching conversation here, and we both have the same goal, that's you are blossoming, shining, and owning it, I can say, but what about you are too young to do this? And then you argue with me against your inner critic, who I will then represent in that moment. So that's almost a role play happening. And that gives people that power that doesn't come from me. I'm just acting like their little provocateur in the corner, or their cheerleader and coach. So I step into different roles depending on where I'm scanning, where the person is currently, what they need. And I might bring them full on into a humor emotion, or I bring them really deep into their sadness, or I bring them really deep into their anger, so that they can then from that point on walk towards their future self that they want to be.
And there's a often an element of discomfort in that.
Yes.
Because it can be really confronting to hear your inner critic be acted out in the form of a Jen Stevie.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like the push that you need when you're like thinking about, I need to jump off this bridge for my bungee jump. And just your friend goes, you got this. And you have no choice, but you're like, I just need to embrace.
And before you know it, you're woohooing, and you're like, far out, this is amazing.
Yeah. The instant change of like fear and like freeze to like, I'm
empowered.
I like this.
Yeah,
I've seen that. We within conversations that are recorded and not. Certainly in the moments I've watched you do your art of coaching, I go, oh, that person is like walking out of a room in a completely I'm like, oh, my startup. I got this. I know what to do next. I know who to talk to. I know where to seek funding.
Yeah.
How to find my team.
They cry within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was a cry that sometimes took them 30 years to cry.
Yeah. And you walked in there with a pen, a whiteboard.
That's it. I love coaching in this way.
Yeah, and some cards
so easy.
maybe.
Yeah, it's less intimidating than slideshows and big, blah blah.
It is. I think the simplicity and the power, the potential is something that I've really witnessed and also admired. And I think one of the things I love to ask you is, in this last year of collecting all the tools you've gathered in your personal and professional life, and ever enlarging connections, let's say a LinkedIn and in person, how have your own soft skills come into play that you can give maybe examples of stories of like, hey, launching the THC, getting people involved, like what are some ways that Jen has leaned into her own soft skills to make this happen? I think if you give examples, that'd be really helpful for us to, especially those of us who maybe are unfamiliar with the term soft skills. That way we get to know you and also see how that's at play.
So many avenues I could take you on. I will keep it within the framework of the human CV, because otherwise we would be chatting about different tools, techniques, maybe personal ways of seeking insight. But just within what I give people here with the human CV, I will speak briefly on the 16 personalities. So the ENFJ, which is one of the types in the 16 personalities. And so often when people talk about soft skills, and or if people don't really know what to categorize as soft skills, the word soft has become a bit of a less than, I want strong skills, not soft skills.
Yes.
It could become a word of, that's not so important, but what technical skills does the person have? What experiential ones? But I always say the soft skills is just the name for how do I do what I do? Do I do it in a people-centered way, or do I do it in a detail and things task-focused way? Do I do this primarily switching straight into my cognitive thinking brain, or do my instant reactions come straight from my intuition or feeling center? Am I more spontaneous? Am I more of a planner? If people only know their soft skills in accordance with those 4 avenues, the world will be a better place. Hands down, 15 minutes spending on something simple like a Myers-Briggs can change people's lives. So for me, if I'm speaking on those ones, the soft skills that it tells I have is charismatic, leader, speaker, tolerant, reliable, altruistic, sensitive, selfless, encouraging, and giving. So if you have a leader who's encouraging, what do you do with that, right? So these soft skills have helped me to lead by going somewhere where something hasn't been before, making a new thing, like making a human CV and see if it flies or see if it flops. The encouraging part, it always helps me to bring in the people who want something in that moment, more courage, more clarity, a more defined way of intentional living. Like, how do I actually want to spend my week? And so I happen to be born with these core things that are innate to me, that are not hard for me to do. And it helped me with the human CV so much because it allowed me to share my passion for this kind of stuff with others and coach them, help them, reflect with them in that process. And I'm not even sure if it's in here. Maybe it's still hidden in the encouraging part, but sitting here, having cameras and spotlights on the face, having a microphone popped on, and having had to do an hour of prep, and probably even more after looking at the results from that 1 hour of making the human CV, put people on the edge of, how do I want to show up? And what do I want to say about me? And what have I learned? And I used my soft skills to help other people discover their soft skills. And by recording this very vulnerable, authentic thing, I encouraged them. I gave them an extra oomph. And then they walked out here with a big smile and a broader chest and a more deep appreciation for who they are. So I think that's how my natural skills and the creation of this came together.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got these cards of the 16 different personalities. And of course, having watched you do that, like people get to talk about some of their favorite things and people and projects in life. And you can just really feel and watch them light up, just as you have in these first 15 or so minutes of like the early beginnings and how that's brought benefit to you and in others' lives. That's what we both want out of ways in which we spend time and our energy. And it's just I just in full agreeance and in awe with how simple it can be. When we're in service of each other while being clear of who we are.
And it's simple, but it's not easy. Often people think, oh wow, that looks so easy. Jen comes here just with pen, paper, whiteboards, and her coaching cards. But it took a lot of work, thousands of hours.
You put in your 10,000 hours.
Oh, 20,000 probably now. Because you know me, I'm obsessed with things. So when I go deep into my research or rabbit hole of creation or designing and acting it out, I'm in here and I act it out as if I have the workshop here and what will work, or what if the person is slower, faster, provocative. Like, it's not work.
It's play.
It's play. And it has to be play to make something difficult become easier and easier. Otherwise, I couldn't stick with it for so long. So despite this being difficult to make, requiring thousands of hours that are often with, lots of frown lines and coffees and other substances, it still needs to be something that has that internal fuel or spark at the core. Otherwise, I would have not been able to keep going and make it simpler every time and, practice again and practice again. So it's simple. Not easy to make something simple, but it's very rewarding when it has that inner fire at the core. I'd love to hear more from you, your own personal reflections, having done 19 plus this interview now, 2 meetups over the span of the last, let's say 11 months. Okay, what are some personal teachings, realizations that have come forth, the Jen that was present a year ago before launching all of this, and the Jen now, what would you say to her? Be like, hey, like, these are some things you're gonna get into, these are some things to look out, here's the older, more mature learned me giving advice, or just as like, here's what I've learned, here's what I've gained. What would you say to that? There's a book coming.
No,
blah, blah, answer.
Well, this is the book teaser.
Okay, let me do my trusted thing as like mind, body, people, and what have I learned in those 3 categories. So the last 11 months, if I'm zooming back to the beginnings of the human CV, as we are seeing this now, not whenever it started to become a passion topic, So mental learnings, physical learnings, and social learnings, mind, body, people, is how I usually categorize my life. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just
Using your own tools.
To do my that. Mentally, I've become much more clear on the administrative and in Clifton we call it the arranger, of the conductor, the person who has to move many moving parts with the least amount of movement to be super efficient, like constantly reaching out, finding people, scheduling them in, planning which day works, thinking about the setup of the space, ticking all the boxes so that the interview can happen in the same predictable format, collaborating with someone. So mental challenges were many, because I also was in full-time looking after 60 coaching clients, flying out of town several times each month to do in-person facilitation for groups. So I was either flying in or flying out, having a new relationship with you, or it's been now for over a year now. So it just had started before I started the Human CV in earnest. Mental challenges were also to describe my concept to a developer and making them think in the simplest way possible, not in industry tech stack standard, which I do not like. Yeah. I wanted to be even simpler and even simpler and even simpler. So mentally, there were a lot of challenges around planning, organizing, communicating, tech requirements, financial planning, what should I invest, all that. So mind, body, people. Mind was really busy with learning all those things. Body, I went through a major health thing. I was a few hours, days away from dying halfway through the program. This is also the result of my body shutting down. So I shaved my hair halfway through. With that came all these kind of physical challenges with the sickness of losing a lot of weight, being on medication, which I've never consumed anything in like 20 years and now had to be on chemical or synthetic medicine rather. So there were a lot of physical challenges of going complete super skinny to nurturing my body back, listening to the symptoms, managing pain, managing extreme fatigue and exhaustion all throughout, moving houses. Yeah. Just casually. So that, and international trips, Perth, Samoa. So there were lots of physical ups and downs. And then so mind, body, people, the third thing, and how I changed I think that's the one that changed the least, even though you would think it changed the most. My interaction with friends, clients, family, lover, all that has changed or rather improved through this additional layer of, hey, I have this passion project and it's way more public facing and it's way more in my space and it requires a lot more things in between my normal coaching work. Yeah. So these were the three, like what would I say to my younger self? Make sure you have a routine for your mental state of mind, your mental state, mental health. Make sure you keep the bare minimum alive, even if your body is dying. What is the bare minimum you need to do? Have you got clean water? Have you got time outdoors? Like it's the bare minimum. When I was really sick, could barely walk, I'd go to the beach, expose my body to the sun. I just love tanning. I love the vitamin D that I get from the sun. I love being near the ocean. So if I can do nothing and my days are chocker, can I squeeze in half an hour in the sun, half an hour at a beach or in a garden? Yeah, a true rejuvenating, reset, recharge place. Yes, and social, the people, hey Jen of the past, make sure no matter how demanding the second, third grade circles in your life are, the remote acquaintances, the clients, the every now and then friends, make sure your core is nurtured. The core people you have around you, they deserve your prime time, not your leftovers. And in the past, I've been guilty of giving them my leftovers because the paying clients screamed louder and I would neglect my date nights or my close friend calls, and depending on where they are in the world, it's always a bit different. But yeah, so what is the bare minimum I need for my mind, my body, and my people? And everything else comes after that. Yeah, you're putting into motion more discipline. I would also call them restrictions right now in your life. Devotion, let's call that. Yeah, devotion to simplicity. It really is. You're like recalibrating in a way that you're taking all these learnings and realizations, some of which you spoke into, and putting it in your new year, which I like because you just had your birthday and you see that as like the actual start of a new year.
which is also in the Southern Hemisphere, it's springtime.
Yay.
So like the energy is just very vibrant. There's flowers, there's new growth, long days, warmth, and it's such a good time to actually set goals and really hold yourself to it. Yeah, and with good partner, good friends, a good community, like with the 30-day challenge we did. It was like there's accountability and like good feels and reward that really helps us keep in check. So there's value in doing some of these things solo, and I've seen this value in having accountability buddies, friends, colleagues, whoever it is that can just hold you to it in a good way. Yeah. Not in this like hazing kind of like, you better be stronger and harder, but it's just like, hey, like encouraging, nurturing some of these traits of your ENFJ profile. Beautiful. Well, with this said, I'm curious what Jens's latest kind of vision for what the human CV is and will be in the coming months and maybe years. Like paint that vision for us. Where do you want to take it, or what are some of the unknowns right now, but maybe your current vision as to how this passion project that's served dozens of people will look and feel and evolve to. Let's go into it.
It will always change as I grow and evolve. At this moment in time, it's been a passion project, which I usually do one per year. So I will wrap it up in the form it currently has. I have relearned or remembered that my passion for the deep one-on-one work, which is almost like, an interview or just asking deep reflective questions.
Deep dive.
Yeah. It drives me. That deep dive drives me. And that fulfillment I do get from my coaching conversations without the additional effort of having to take your time as an editor and co-producer, without having to deal with the quite bumpy creation process of the current human CV in the form it has now. So I'm envisioning closing this, going back to one-on-one coaching work, or intensifying this more now. Again, putting my focus on one thing more. But all these coaching clients that I have could benefit from gatherings, online or offline, where they have already done the prep. They already are self-aware. I don't need to handhold them through these first steps.
Yeah.
We simplify this towards, hey, just what is your Myers-Briggs types? What are your top 2 goals that you want to achieve? And then in line with these goals, I actually sat down and said, the SDGs, I have a love-hate relationship with them. They do something very well for us here with the human CV, and that is they give people a micro focus on the future. That's all. I wouldn't look at them as they are being released by the United Nations and try to extract something sound and tangible. If I just give you and say, what does quality education mean to you? You could go into a million things. Now, what I have done is I rework them in alignment with the feedback from the human CV people. So if I currently look at one of the human CV Sustainable Development Goals cards, they all have 3 Kiwi, local-based, practical projects or initiatives on them.
That matches with
my passion, with the local environment and the people that I mainly spoke to or have around me. So have you heard of hackathons?
Yes.
Or startup weekends?
Yes. And I think it's good for you to describe it for those that aren't as familiar.
So I think going forward, I'll focus more on the one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
I keep the card system as it serves me in my current coaching and facilitation work extremely well. And the evolution, without calling it the human CV again, would be to have like a micro human CV. But then these people go to a hackathon or a startup weekend, which means a bunch of strangers meet. And then usually it's a 2.5-day thing, but it can be expanded or contracted depending on the venue and the person's time needs. But within a day or 2, usually, a bunch of strangers go from, oh, we all like the goal number 4, quality education. Well, give me that coaching card. What's on that quality education SDG example? And then it could say, oh yeah, let's actually have a look just for fun. Number 4. So yeah, towards you. Let's see what's on there. So for example, it could be volunteer as a reading buddy in a local school or kura, donate books and learning materials to under-resourced classrooms, and or mentorship connecting tertiary students with young people navigating pathways.
Oh.
So let's say I say number 3 is really cool for me. I'm already mentoring and supporting the students here at the various schools that we have, in particular the uni in Canterbury, but also others. And my LinkedIn is full with business owners, local and national, and local and global, who want great people.
Yeah.
I hear one client complain to me about brain drain, and then I hear the student complain to me about I can't find good work here. You just have to meet. And maybe you have to meet on this table. Yeah. And maybe there's people who buy a ticket for each of those remaining 7 seats. Half would be students, they get the free tickets. Half would be business owners, they pay for them. So it's financially viable for me to run these small, focused coaching, co-creation, make something happen that I can see in my local environment.
It's like coaching meets matchmaking.
For local projects that are aligned with the SDGs.
Right.
Yes, and to do that, the only thing people have to do is become aware of their strengths and create something very short and simple. So that's the evolution of the human CV, going from long-form interviews, content-heavy, thumb drive heavy. We have a lot of storage and constantly
Big
shuffle
files.
hard drives everywhere. I want less of the time behind the screen, editing, captions, booking clients, doing all of that. Way more focus on the get together, repeatable format, quick mini hackathon.
Yeah.
SDG based with people who already know themselves. So I don't have to do all that hand holding as much.
Beautiful. Watch out, 2026.
It's literally written in my human CV as well. So if you
I actually want to read this out loud. And this is written about 11 months ago.
I haven't looked at the CV in 11 and a half months.
So Jen's really known her crystal ball since she's done this. I love my current life of having 60 dedicated manager clients to coach 121
Mm-hmm.
and facilitate group sessions around leadership skills for. I would love to grow the Human CV to a successful YouTube channel with interviews, showcasing local movers and shakers, highlighting their soft skills. Once the channel has grown large enough, I want to arrange an in-person meetups around sustainable development goals, or SDGs, and create mini money-making hackathons.
Yeah.
The filming of interviews and arranging of in-person gatherings are where I would love a partner/co-creator to bring their skills and flavors.
It's all there, and it has been there since a year. So I wrote it, I printed it, I parked it in my archive, and I've just been, iterating ever since.
Yeah. This vision for future collaboration is, and I like the way you worded it, because it's not just vision for life, too general. But collaboration to me implies, who do you find in your team? Who's on your all-star team? And how do you match, make, and have complementary skills to make something greater than any one person to come to life? And so there's an element of, you have to be kind of futuristic and think where you're headed and how you want things to be in life and for the world, right? And often for me, anyway, as an optimist, I want to see a better version of existing, let's say, systems, right? Or I want to see a better version of myself,
Yes.
or relationships that I hold and dear. And then the collaborative aspect is like, oh, I need good teammates. And in order to do that, you got to find each other, right? And so hackathons and these kind of group meetups and coaching sessions would be an ideal place where people come intentionally for those very purposes. Yeah.
So high energy, lots of rinse and repeat. So what I often have seen also from an organizer's perspective is when I helped arranging a traditional hackathon or similar events.
Yeah.
There's a lot of upfront effort, a lot of upfront cost. And as much as I love the buzz that is generated by a group of 150 people doing a hackathon together, it's just louder, and you work all night, and everybody's hanging out on beanbags with all the headphones imaginable, and you're dashing over to this other group and saying, hey, can we just act like you are our customers? We need to do some research. Like, there's no surveys being sent out. This stuff just happens really fast, and I think if that can be recreated here in our hosting space and living room, it becomes very authentic, very real, very trust building, and very intentional. And the people who are in our closest radius, who are able to travel here, they love the same places you and I love. The beach, the hills, the city center.
The environment, yeah.
We have so much here to work with.
Yeah.
There's no need for me to turn on the news and watch what's happening in Egypt or in Afghanistan or in Pakistan if I can make my brain really focused on the change I can make, rather than distracting myself with what is not reachable for me right now and at this life that I'm choosing to live here with you.
Well, unless people have direct wano there.
Of course, yeah. And then we have, again, that real, authentic trust that we know that this person over there tells us what's happening, what they need, and that can be something I trust. A person I have met and they talk about real life, practical, applicable scenarios.
Yeah, I think it's important to differentiate. The point is we don't want to overload ourselves with things that are not within our
control,
immediate level of control or relatability. Certainly,
or influence.
We welcome stories and connections to different parts of the world as we live in a more and more connected world, through the internet and global trade. So not saying that we got to turn a blind eye to everything, but there is a case to be made, certainly, especially in my work, having been in international, especially rural development. What happens on the other side of the globe does influence us, and as amazing, magical tools are our brains and the capacity it has, we didn't develop until recent decades to have news flash from every corner of the world at any given time. It's overload. And a lot of us have normalized that, but it actually kind of paralyzes us from a take action, or how do I siphon all of this information to make sense of it. It's too much.
Yeah.
And so much of my life in the last couple years is how do I act locally and still think globally as the connected network, whānau, family that we are.
Funny enough, it's often everything is connected, right? But if you think globally to act locally, what does it mean? Well, that means you need to have a source of truth from a global perspective. You have to be able to ring your friend in Mexico, ring your friend in Iceland, ring your friend in Argentina and say, hey, how do you guys do city and biking?
Yeah, best practices.
And then I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That thing I don't really use here, but this could work also here. So I do welcome different perspectives and voices, and my friends are all over the place. Like culturally, age-wise, perspective-wise.
Yeah, we need that.
And I love them for their diversity. I love to be friends with the Spice Girls and not just Baby Spice, right? So we need the colors, we need the ages, we need the different backgrounds, and we also need different financial systems to understand, well, the current value exchange on our planet is fucked. The current way we do travel and freedom of movement is fucked. And the freedom of speech is not there. There's a skewing towards certain dramatization or negativity
Censorship.
Or breaking news. Why are they breaking news? Is it because they break you? Is that why they're called that way?
Why not healing news?
Why do we have deadlines? Yeah. Why don't we have lifelines, right? Yeah. So there's so many things that I'm just looking at it and I'm zooming out and I'm like, we can do better. Yeah. And that's just my little bubble here in which I would like to do better.
Yeah. Well, it's the change starts within. Right, and then those that you can rally around and bring that kind of, what I'm hearing is language change, perspective shifts,
education change.
Yeah, why does it need to be so jarring, kind of this like violent, warlike language, right? Like make it soft skills, softer, rounder around the edges, more nurturing, more long-term sustainable. Yeah, fits more human needs. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm all in.
That's how we roll. Yeah, I love this. These are some great questions.
Yeah.
I treat it like a coaching session,
Well,
which is like self-reflection, journaling, thinking out loud of good questions.
It is. It's part of the perks of living and relating with a coach.
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
Would do again.
5-star, like, share, subscribe.
Yeah. Well, I think as we have dove into this project this deeply in a year, I realized how many good friends and connections we have that we share more and more now are people who are also in coaching and facilitation spaces.
Yeah.
And so I've come to really appreciate what y'all do. And in the last couple months, I've had my dipping my toe into the water kind of thing and like trying it out myself in these really cool spaces that I've been a part of and feel a strong sense of belonging to. So for example, in my Tane men's group work and my smaller circles, and even just yesterday right here in our home, I got to try something new that I'll be stepping into next week. And so all that to say, facilitation, coaching, I know I'm in a bubble. There's not this proportion of people in a city, in a town, but I want to get into why. Let's say I'm totally new to the world of being mentored and coached and having good facilitation, maybe in my business. You know, I have a team of 50 and I go, they're not doing what I want them to do, and I feel like this person isn't like fully up to their potential, but I don't know how to bring that forward. And I get switched on to this notion of good mentorship, facilitation, coaching. Particularly in your case, your bread and butter is coaching. How would I tell someone about what you do, and also why you specifically, Jen? Like, with the totality of your soft skills and your geekiness and your relatability, like, what makes Jen Stevie's coaching stand out from so many coaches that I see on Instagram and online and LinkedIn? What do you bring to the table that is unique and stand out? Like, what makes your song you?
It's so nice to be on an interview and just get like the stage for self-promotion here. Like,
strategic.
Hey Jen, can you just pitch yourself for a second?
Yeah.
Thanks. I think the overarching feedback that I keep getting over and over from people and how it affected them or why they come to me, it's the speed of clarity. They get answers so fast. They learn about themselves things they haven't seen in 30, 40, 50 years. They have these... I had this joke for a while when I was really fully focused on one-on-one coaching. In the last year, it has spread out. My focus was a lot of group facilitation too, and the joys that brings. So I can speak on that in a moment. But the one-on-one coaching, whenever I sat down with a CEO or an HR professional or a leader, a team leader, and they came to me and poured out their hearts, in my head, while shaping the next question for them and taking in what they're saying, I would have this little counter running. And I always wanted to see how fast can I get them from sitting down to wow, to saying wow. Because at every coaching conversation, 90% of the time, I would say, not everyone. Yeah. Oh no, she has a 10% failure rate of getting a wow in an hour. But yeah, I would always count down to when do they say wow or go, oh, with this sort of thing that needs a pause before you can gather yourself and speak again. I always wanted to get my client to either go, wow, or this might sound crazy, but, and then they share the real thing with you.
It's a somatic release.
It so is. Or the yawning, sometimes people just go fully into the yawning, which is a release as well. So the body shows us so fast, where is that person right now? And I just sit here like doing my coaching thing, but at the same time, I'm outside of this conversation. I'm almost like two people in a coaching conversation. It's very hard to explain. I often don't recall what questions I'm asking. Yeah. It's going through me. Like my conscious brain is almost off, and I'm like a cat waiting to pounce on what's the next thing the person gives me.
So quick.
And so the speed in which I can get a person from, oh, this is sucky, this person stresses me out, I don't know what I want next, I don't have enough money, I'm too old, I'm too young. Anything they bring, going to, oh, of course. Wow. I never thought of that. Like, this is what I want from the people, and I zoom out and I wait till that wow happens, or that, like that moment of, I can do it and I want to do it and this is why. And goodbye, Jen. Thanks, Jen. I'm out of here. I got to go and do this thing now. I must channel this newfound energy that was always within me.
Yeah.
I got to channel it into my thing. That's what people get.
You remove the blockage, and without the high five, they actually just high fived you.
I often high five them too. Yeah, but yes, absolutely. It's a virtual or an actual high five that usually happens in that session, and that fuels me.
Yeah.
And there are different coaches, and they do things in different ways, and I'm sure that every coach out there does it with the best intention and what they know at that time, and maybe they need this structure for their sessions to be good, or they need a specific tool, or they need something. But for me, pen, paper, whiteboard, provocation, some humor, some wow, and I'm happy. Yeah, I do very fast. Yeah. I trained myself on the road doing van life for 2 years after I discovered the coaching word, and that this was actually what my 12-year-old liked while looking at the Spice Girls and making my profiles.
Yeah. You were doing it way back.
I'm like, oh, so if I want to get really crazy good at this and take every person from confusion to solution in the shortest time possible, how would I do that? I have to practice.
From confusion to solution in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, that was my mission for a while. I build up a van into a mobile office, grab my little laptop, and started creating coaching tools and making cards and sitting down with people on beaches, in community centers, in Marais, in boardrooms, in big conferences, on stage, behind the scenes. I was everywhere where people would let me in.
Yeah.
And just nerded out on, so what do you do, Jen? And I'm like, I'll help you to find out your life purpose. And you? You know, like I would just provoke them and say, what is your purpose? Or rather than what's the weather? You know, I would be like, so what are your top values? And they go, oh, you weird person. And I'm like, sorry, I'm really passionate about this topic. What does love mean to you? I would just constantly give them like the deep, weird, meaningful questions.
Yeah. And you know, from what I've watched, you individualize.
Oh, yeah.
So that it caters to that particular person. So it doesn't matter if it's like a super like rural Kiwi bloke farmer, you know, in Otago, or someone that's like freshly landed off the plane from Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to get their footing. Like I've seen you relate and individualize, customize that experience and the questions in a way that just goes, oh, wow.
There we got your wow.
Yeah, yes. It's good.
But that's my drive. It's so fun. Like unleashing people's power and then watching them go do stuff that you also like them to do because you know they do it with full intention. Yeah. They include planet and people. Right. It's, you know, people can't come to me. I had some clients who would say, so Jen, you're a coach. My goal is doing 10 million in 10 years. How do we do this? And I got them there. And then I said, what do you do with the 10 million now? So it's really that intention of when you discover your power, what do you use it for? Good or bad, white or black, you know, dark or light. And often just taking them mentally to that stage of, well, let's say you come to me today and you say, Jen, I want to do 10 million in 10 years. I'm like, okay, we can do this, done it before. Write a list. When you have that 10 million, if I give it to you right now, the 10 million, what will you do with this? Write me 50 things. Don't stop after 10, 50. That stretches your brain enough. And you can't use ChatGPT for that. You have to use your own powers for this. You can't outsource those powers. What does your inner voice want with the 10 million? And then you start writing. And I will not want you to see you until you give me the list of 50. And then we talk about this list and what it means to you. And then either you go off and you get the 10 million within 2 weeks because you're so hyper-focused on that thing. It happens. It literally happens. Or you realize it's not the 10 million I actually want, but I want to have a shelter for cats or recreate a food forest in my neighborhood. That is the actual thing behind the number. And so, yeah, I have the best job in the world.
We can really recommend this exercise, by the way. My brain went to beautiful places where that would bring a lot of fulfillment. Not just one time, but like repeated fulfillment. And what I realized is that I want other people there with me. So that it's a shared joy and satisfaction.
Well, why don't we do it like we're recording this on Sunday, and every Sunday night we have our Sunday chicken / check-in. Yeah. And so we do the what would I do with 10 million, 50 items list later. It might take us longer to write it.
I like that. But I think for those that are tuning in, maybe hit pause or finish the episode and then do this exercise as we will be later today.
If you had 10 million, write down 50 things. What would you do with that money? Now your brain is somewhere else.
Thinking about
Back to hosting.
back to food force.
That was good.
No. I'm still the one asking questions. It's all good.
I'm patient.
It's all good. Well, that actually brings me to this beautiful kind of last bonus question I had in mind, which is, what's the dream beyond the dream? You know, I see where the THC is going. I see what you've really found, the thing that keeps your inner fire going. And it's so beautiful. It's vibrant. And of course it has its moments where it burns brighter and it's a little dimmer. And, you know, these are the natural
It's the way, not the goal.
cycles of life. But if we zoom out a bit, take the mind out of just THC. And of course that's very all-encompassing because it involves yourself and other people, personal and professional connections. But zoom out your life for the next decades. Like, paint me the picture more than the 10 million. What does health, success, fulfillment really look like to you as you take each moment, each step very intentionally to align yourself in that pathway towards that?
Easy answer. So the dream behind the dream sounds like a ChatGPT question. I feel that we all try to fix, support, heal our inner child.
Yeah.
Takes different shapes anyways, but the little Jen in me that has been through this life that I had now has experienced a lot of suffering, a lot of joy, and everything in between, just like little Kai, right? So if we all have that, and then we had all the suffering and the being outcasted, or even being super popular and wondering, do they like me just for the popularity? And I'm just writing, from my own perspective here, but everybody can apply their own suffering in whatever shape it took. So the health issue, the social labeling that was beneficial or non-beneficial, depending on which side of the world or positioning you're on. We all have these inner children in us that are hurt, and they want to be heard. And to do what they need to do in the world, they need to understand their strengths and celebrate them. So my dream behind the dream is that little Jen, little Kai, we still have to go through the suffering. It's necessary to appreciate the other side. I feel that's cool. I have no issues with suffering. I'm just taking it as a lesson. But then they need tools that help them to turn that suffering into success. And success looks different things for different people. For me, mind, body, people, if I take my usual little triangle of what does success look like, would be I'm mentally strong and clear. I will live a very old age with a sharp mind. I am not distracted or manipulated by large corporations. I don't expose my brain to a lot of noise. And I don't mean physical noise. I love blasting loud music at times, but I mean the noise that comes from limited people's perceptions. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, this country sucks. Oh, this job is meh. I want my brain to be calm, balanced, happy, productive, sharp, and others too. So the dream behind the dream is my brain is sharp and I help with what I do to other people also have that status. Same with the body. My tools don't fully go into the physical training or space. I had a passion project that was a mind-body reset where I used my yoga teacher training and chakra and sound healing knowledge as well. But for this one, it may or may not show up strongly in this work. That is just more for me for now to do, my yoga practice or my beach walks or whatever I do. And then mind, body, people. So for people, the dream behind the dream is, again, that we're not only knowing ourselves, but the smallest unit is me, my inner child, and Jen today, with the extra knowledge on top. Once that is done, it's never complete, but once I've got a solid grasp on who is little Jen and what does she do well and how does she want to show up and which goals does she want to achieve, in my case right now it's 4 and 8, I think it will move into in 17, which is partnerships. Then the next level of that is my immediate people. The profiles I wrote when I was 12, my Word documents where I would have Kai at the top, and then what is he into? What does he love? What is fizzing? And then getting from my own little nuclear mini, just Jen and her little world into, well, how does it include Kai? How does it include my closest friends? How does it include family members?
The expanding core circles.
Know myself, know others, and then build with others. So the dream behind the dream is not only that I have better educated people, educated about themselves in corporates, the ones who have responsibility for a lot of money and a lot of people. They have to know themselves. How dare people managing other people without having even ever done one personality test?
Preach.
Like, how can this happen? How can we vote someone for president or politician and we can't even see their CV or their strengths test? Why is that not public knowledge? We give them responsibility for a whole country. We don't even know how they manage their own marriages or their own children or their own friendship circles. We don't know what they stand for. We don't know what they believe in. It changes every 4 years. My goal, my dream behind the dream is if everybody who has gone through suffering, everybody, knows themselves better and puts effort into getting to know their closest people better, then they can build good stuff together, hopefully in alignment with some goal that is meaningful for the local place. If we fix up our inner world and our inner friendship circles and our inner suburbs, cities, village,
whatever local communities,
bubble, my inner bubble of a couple hundred people, whatever that might look like, then I've done a good job. I don't need to fix the world. I fix my world, and if everybody on this world fixes their 8 billion little worlds, we will look pretty decent out there.
Yeah. It's the process of replication.
And I've seen that happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that happening every time I sit down with a CEO and they have that, oh, wow, moment. They are no longer the same person that they were when they came and sat down with me. And they take that knowledge into their board meetings, and they take it into their investor meetings, and they take it to their branding directors.
It's a tool equipped for life, really.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful, unique role that you found and carved for yourself in the systems change.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the little details around it, they will always change, Now we have these social media channels. In 20 years, we will have other ones. That's all life.
Yeah.
We work with, today it's going to be cards, maybe tomorrow it's going to be sign language or silent meetings, and we just have to communicate without words.
But when we work with core values and principles,
we get good results.
The tool and the method matters less. And as long as we remain adaptable and malleable and open to new ideas and pathways, those core values and principles will guide us.
And you can see it, especially like now, case in point with the Human CV. The first few episodes, I focused way more on talking to people about the initial things, so they felt comfortable, and that became like a norm. Yeah. Maybe it was also for me to feel comfortable to put like this arbitrary thing in the middle.
Yeah, like an anchor.
But towards the end, I did my normal thing, and it was just a conversation.
It was closer to your coaching sessions.
It was. It was way more okay, now you've done your Human CV as a prep. I know you're earnest. You sit down here with some prep, so you're taking it seriously. Because it's all paid for. Nobody pays to be on this show. So nobody is invested because they're not investing.
Well, their time and energy invested. And the way we've talked about it is they're invested in their development and growth. And inner knowing, which is invaluable. People come with that mindset. They can really open doors anywhere. It's
a much bigger filter when people have done their homework and sit down here. Yeah. Even if we never look at that CV ever again.
Primer.
It's a primer.
Yeah, it's a great primer.
And it channels the conversation towards things that do matter for them, whether or not they have the explicit SDG attached to them or the explicit personality type. But they talk about stuff they are passionate about or that they're passionately against. Doesn't matter what you use as your energy, your push or pull. I work with both. Yeah. Don't care.
Love it. So clear. Beautiful answer. Thank you. Bonus, last one, I promise. I want to give an opportunity, a space for you to speak any last thoughts and or people that you want to acknowledge and thank to have gotten you here.
I've learned after writing my book that if I was to list people I wanted to thank, I will definitely forget some very important ones.
That's okay.
And so I will not list them. I will probably have a think and write them all down and make sure they're all mentioned in the description or on the blog post to really fully, truly honor as many people as I can remember. It will be a long list.
Yeah, because the way I know it, you've had so many beautiful teachers, mentors, people that have come and maybe left in your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just really want to emphasize, as I get to be the person interviewing, that none of us have gotten here solo, and yeah, I know that someone like yourself have had many good teachers.
Yes, and teachers come in all shapes and sizes, right? From books to podcasts to real life connections to the hero of a movie that you watched and you got enamored with.
That's right. Or even birds
or
a tree. Yeah. Certainly, I know when we go out and explore the tile, the environment, we look at often the symbol of like resilience or playfulness in a tree or in like a piwaka waka. And it's just it brings that out within us. And it's really remarkable.
Yeah.
Cool.
So when it comes to the like final words you want to share with people, rather than list all the influencers in your life, I would say that something we haven't really spoken about today is we talked a lot about self-discovery, coaching, the right questions, the right provocation, the right group settings, the right tools. One of my most profoundly life-changing tools that I wish everybody somehow in their own shape explores would be meditation or intentional silence. It could be go for a bike ride, but be quiet. It could be go for a beach walk, but only play some like meditative singing bowls or something very, very subtle or brain-enhancing music. So putting oneself into a sensory state of intention. So where rather than in conversation, we expand energy by sharing words and giving other people dumps of words and sounds and concepts and all that. If people don't have enough space in their lives to hear their inner voices rather than hearing their outer voices or others' outer voices, if they don't have that, most of this work doesn't have a stable footing. It just becomes another information dopamine boosting tool that's out there. Oh, I've done the human CV now, and now I know my this and that. And like, yeah, but what do you do with it? Have you sat there and listened to the inner voice? Yes. So taking it from a purely cognitive, entertaining, ha ha ha, funny, look at me, I'm this type, or I have that stuff, really embracing intentional silence, fully present with whatever people are doing, as an additional tool that doesn't require pen or paper or a guru or a coach. I don't want people to be dependent on methods, techniques, gurus, people that they look up to for
nothing dogmatic.
Take me out of here. Yeah. And maybe that's the exact extreme from cult background to empowering others to see who they are and do what they want to do.
Yeah, as the sovereign, autonomous beings that we can be. Yeah. And for those of us that have the clear mind, the able body, and maybe resource enough to have that time and space to just sit and be and really have that inner discovery, I too can highly recommend that practice. Yeah.
Thank you, my love. It was fun.
That was really beautiful. Yeah. So that's a wrap.